Hello there, my very good friends. Andy Murray here with Michael Sidgwick with something of a breaking news update. It's not often you get free news videos in one day. As what was the old Fed finance guy, George Barrios? As he used to say, we are super.
The seven head.
yeah. He made me look like a normal person. We are super serving the audience today. That's a real sharp burn to open the building. If I'm making you look normal, that's a problem. But hey, look. We got a big story in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that's been confirmed, according to Dave Meltzer, by half a dozen people. By the way, that's six people, guys. 6 of them. Involving Jade Cargill, Shayna Baszler, and a backstage confrontation. Bit of a scuffle, bit of a kerfuffle between these two women on the roster. What I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to read it to you straight up, right? I'm going to give you the full guts of this story as it was written in the Observer, so it's not necessarily conflated or anything like that. I've got it right here. There was a confrontation that took place a few months ago before the Cargill injury involving Cargill and Baszler. It's been confirmed by half a dozen people that it happened, but nobody went into details past Cargill had rubbed enough people in the Raw Women's division the wrong way, and Baszler was willing to fight her until management found out and calmed the situation down. The time frame was when they were doing Baszler and Stark versus Belair and Cargill matches. That was last June. So it's almost a year ago at this stage. And if you think about the injury, she was out from November. So yeah, it's a good deal after she was out injured. So nobody should be sitting here and going, that's why she was out, because there was a... No, they're different things. I don't know what in particular happened, other than it wasn't just one thing, and the belief is that some of this stemmed from inside the ring in those matches and some didn't. Although one woman star said they believe the tension within the SmackDown side was worse than the Raw side, which is quite notable because Jade's home brand has been SmackDown. But it sounds like there's some bigger issues there with other people as well. So yeah, assembling that timeline, if it was around the time of those tag match, it is last June. And obviously Jade was out through injury from November until the Elimination Chamber when she had a very good return. Excellent angle to start that entire PLE off. But yeah, overwhelmingly, the first thing I think of with a story like this, right, is that WWE, much more harmonious backstage place these days than, certain other times. It's not often you hear about things like this. So when they come through and they're sourced by 6 people... pretty seismic, isn't it? Yeah,
this is quite an interesting one as well. Look, as a writer, I tend to take a narrative and run with it. So just take this for what it's worth. This is just my own. Imagine it's opinion written in bold, okay? It's just odd and curious that there are more stories about backstage morale and sort of altercations in WWE as there's, Elimination Chamber notwithstanding, that there is this sort of sense of, is it as good as it was in 2023? Is it as good as it was in 2024? Are the right people going in the right spots? Like Jey Uso versus Gunther, just as an example, was not what a lot of people expected for WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre, of course, had that sort of reported walkout for all of the day. It just doesn't seem like the roster is entirely happy. This stems from reports of the women's roster. Was it Sean Ross Sapp who broke?
Yes, that they were not too pleased with their creative.
Yeah, it's just odd. Like, there is a theory, and again, this is the narrative that I'm running with, so just take it for what it is, that WWE and AEW can simply never be perfect and great at the exact same time to their respective audiences. As soon as one does a really strong pay-per-view build, the other one sort of has this image of a company that's not like in disarray or anything as hyperbolic as that, but it's just interesting that what tends to happen is that the more stories, and this happened with AEW in 2021 even, during their Invincible era, in 2022 of course, is that the more stories come out like this, the more people are willing to talk to like the sheets and insiders, the more that they are sort of giving it away that morale is not what it is. Who would have won the fight? I think I've got an idea about who would have won the fight.
Fantasy booking the brawl, maybe. I mean, Shayna Baszler was in the UFC, wasn't she? So it's, it's.
I admire the confidence of Jade Cargill. This is a woman who just exudes it by simply walking. So it's one of those stories that when you hear about it, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Just for the record, I've met Jade Cargill. She's absolutely lovely, so I can't imagine her rubbing anyone the wrong way. But so Baszler, your money's on Baszler.
Yeah, I would think so. And it also speaks volumes that what's happened has pushed Shayna Baszler to the extent that she wants to fight someone backstage. Because I've never heard anything controversial about Shayna Baszler. Never heard about anything about her having a temper or anything like that. She's not a CM Punk, right, in terms of reputation or anything like that. Also, she's a bad mother effer, not just in pro wrestling sense. She came up with under the likes of Josh Barnett, who's a real life badass. But also, she was a pioneering mixed martial artist. You look at her record in 2025, and maybe there's a few losses on there or whatever, but you're still talking about someone who fought for a living versus a wrestler. And look, that's not to say that there aren't lots of extremely tough wrestlers out there. Haku exists, for one, but you're talking about someone who dedicated their entire life to the arts of, real combat.
Messing people up.
Yeah, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff
for
like
reals.
that. Yeah. I mean, was it judo that Shayna did? I never remember, but all it would take would be for someone to throw a bad punch, which most people would throw. You just catch the arm, put you down on the ground, and tap you out, brother. That's crazy. So it's a really wacky situation in so many ways. And going back, it's interesting as well, though, that this goes back almost a year and it's kind of coming out now. It makes you wonder.
Why is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Dave just not checked his messages.
It could be. I mean, his brain moves in really fascinating ways.
He's like a labyrinth of a mind.
He's a Labrador.
It's a beautiful mind.
It really is. It really is. I did involve him accidentally burying Brian on the radio this week. Brian,
what happened there?
Oh, well, Brian Alvarez goes, tell me when has Orange Cassidy ever had a bad match? When he never has bad matches. Dave went, I could think of it. If I thought about it, I could probably come up with one. Brian goes, don't say the match that I had with Orange Cassidy, Dave. And Dave answered, I haven't seen that one.
It's even worse. Even worse than saying it's bad. I don't care.
This is it. You'd rather he said, that was okay. That was okay. You'd rather he gave you a little patronising rub on the head, wouldn't you?
I love shoot fights, man.
Situation.
It's almost a shame that didn't happen,
Yeah. It's the lifeblood of pro wrestling.
Right, it's just I don't know how you can not be interested in this sort of thing.
We're not in that locker room. We don't care,
Let us know in the comments who you think would have won.
Yeah, fantasy book it, brawl it out. But it's interesting to think of as well, but potentially wider implications. Obviously, the women's tag team championships, they kind of go brand to brand, a lot of the time. Jade has not held that since November. Obviously, Naomi took the mantle over, and now we're doing the whole story with the mystery attacker. It's still not properly resolved. I think Jade's been announced for tonight's SmackDown as well, so maybe you'll hear more from her. Look, I don't think, if you're expecting any implications from this, I don't think the WWE are going to suspend someone for something that happened 9 months ago.
Yeah.
I think she's probably safe in all of this. But really, just a wild story. And it's not I'm sure somebody else will follow up on this report, right? I'm sure Sean Ross Sapp and Mike Johnson they probably on their phone to their sources right now going, what is this? What is occurring? Why have we only heard about it now? But when you're in here and you're quoting 6 sources,
Which is wild. I'm glad though. The more people talk in professional wrestling. I don't know if that again is sort of an illustrator reflection of bad morale and people are just, I'll just tell all the old stories. I want to let some steam off. Good news for wrestling fans who are into drama and gossip, and I unashamedly am one of them.
And we can't lie, man. We cannot lie. One of the best things for business for a while was CM Punk blowing up. That's all out.
He hasn't even started yet.
I know.
He hasn't even started yet.
Brooks hasn't even let out a tremor.
I know.
Has it? That's an all-time great phrase. Not mine. Shoutouts to the voices of wrestling for coining that.
Dormant for now.
Yeah.
But not inactive.
Yeah. Now he's never completely inactive. You never know when he will morph into a dog and bite a man's arm. That was A-Steel, but never mind. Anyway, thank you for joining us for this quick news blast. here in the evening. Let us know what you think of all this down in the comments section below. And hey, while we got you, why don't you watch this video right here? Actually penned by this man right here.
Yeah.
It's one mind-blowing secret from every year in WWE. Look at that.
It took us 5 months. It took us five months to compile.
And
a lot of stuff you might not know. Watch it. It's actually really great. Miller did a great job with it.
A sensational bit of work. And you were a sensational bit of work too. Bye-bye.